We have a couple people who've been just starting on the empowerments. And so we'll start again with an introduction. And good. And let me share my screen here. So, you always hear us talk a lot about what is open intelligence. And in order to know the answer to that question, just stop thinking for a moment. What remains? You can do that right here. Alertness, clarity, openness, maybe a sense of peace or spaciousness, the power to know, open intelligence. And then thoughts appear again. That's what they do. But the same open intelligence that we just identified as we stop thinking is then also present while we're thinking, as the thoughts come up. It's what makes these thoughts known to us. It's just when we pause our habitual focus on thoughts, it's typically thoughts, could be sensations or whatever it is we focus on. We recognize awareness itself, you could say, the intelligence by which we know all the thoughts, by which we know all the feelings, all the sensations. So when we relax as what's looking, open intelligence, that's what we recognize. That's one of the questions in the empowerments. What is absolutely reliable? And when you look at that, through our experience of living life as humans, what is absolutely reliable? We can't really find anything that is absolutely reliable. We can find things that are reliable or kind of reliable. Um, but we can't really rely on anything 100%, especially not on our thoughts, like always having the right thoughts, always having the right sensations, the right feelings. People around us have good days and bad days. Organizations have good days and maybe not so good days. Families have better and worse days. What we can find in our direct experience is that what's always reliable is open intelligence. It's our power to know. Whether we go through the best time of our life or through the worst time of our life, open intelligence is at the basis of both. So we can count on open intelligence without fail. Every time we look in our direct experience, open intelligence is always there. All there is stainless, flawless, ever-present open intelligence. And in that open intelligence, everything is perfect all at once. No matter what we may have learned about the way things are, relax your body and mind completely. Rest naturally as open intelligence for short moments, repeated many times until it becomes automatic. Relax body and mind completely. That's another way of taking a short moment. You could also say allowing mind and body to relax completely into their natural state of complete ease. And short moments can be very short. I spoke with somebody yesterday and they said, I can't even do it for 5 minutes. So I said, it doesn't even have to be 5 seconds. It can be as brief as it is. And when it slips away, just take another short moment and rest again. So it's not so much about how long each moment is or what it feels like. It's just about taking the short moments, however long they last, whatever experience they come with, and recognizing open intelligence directly. It will become more it will become more and more obvious that everything is perfect all at once, that there are no adjustments that need be made. The idea that adjustments need to be made are fictions. And if you don't want to rest, that is fine with me too. You can just come to meetings like this. You can enjoy the media, the videos, or read the books, and without even trying to rest, without even practicing deliberately, it just dawns on us. That was one of my favorite ways to practice, and still is actually. Just immerse myself in a setting where everything is speaking open intelligence assurance. Now, this may sound too easy, but what already is super complete in and of itself, it has to be easy. How could it possibly be difficult? What already is, how could that be difficult to access? What could possibly be required to get what already is? It's just like trying to get your skin. You don't have to try to get the skin on your body. It already is. The super completeness of awareness in and of itself and the points of view that appear within it are like air and a breeze blowing through. Both are air. There has never been any separation or division. This is so ultimately, utterly, logically conclusive, isn't it? If we want to discover our true nature, it really is about recognizing, discovering. It can't be about creating it, making ourselves worthy of it. Then it wouldn't be our true nature. Just see here. Welcome. I just see a couple comments here in the chat, and I'll be happy to respond more directly in a little bit. Thank you. Um, it is impossible to say where the breeze began, where its middle is, and where its end is. No matter what appears within open intelligence, whether it's a thought, emotion, or experience, it's never been anything other than the basic space of open intelligence, and it's completely non-threatening. It is a support for resting in open intelligence and nothing else. No matter what appears in the mind, you could say, in open intelligence, is its dynamic energy, like the breeze blowing through the air. It's only air in movement. It doesn't change the fundamental quality of air. And it's the same with open intelligence, the true nature of mind. Whatever appears in it, its content, doesn't change its nature. And it's only because of our obsession with the content of mind that we've never really looked at the nature of mind. And we usually aren't told to look at the nature of mind, right? We don't typically learn that in school. Hey, look at the nature of mind. Um, it usually is the opposite. We learn to manage. We learn to discern, is this current content positive, neutral, or negative? If it's positive, hold on to it. If it's negative, do something with it. Make it go away and make sure it never comes back. That's more the kind of training most of us have experienced. So, this instruction to simply relax mind and body creates a space in which we can relax to the degree, to the extent where we can then recognize that actually whatever appears is fine just as it is. We don't need to do anything with anything that appears. We can still take action, but it doesn't need to come from the hope and fear that is usually driving us when we constantly divide everything into positive, neutral, and negative. There is an innate knowing, a wisdom that comes with the skillful means to take beneficial action that is unleashed when this whole hamster wheel of positive, neutral, negative, indulge, avoid, replace comes to a stop. We allow the natural ease of open intelligence to gradually permeate all our daily activities, even feeling pressured, trying, and struggling. So, even that, we don't need to try and relax and then be upset or sad or whatever we might be. If we still feel pressure or effort or struggle, just relax as that as well. We rely on open intelligence at all times, whether walking, moving around, lying down, working, playing, or sitting in any daily activity. So we don't have to reserve special times for resting naturally, for short moments, special circumstances, or special environments. We can do it anytime, anywhere. And by tapping directly into that direct recognition of open intelligence throughout the day, it becomes more and more obvious. Every time we look, it's already here. Didn't need to create it, and it was already there. I didn't create it with the short moment. The short moment is just recognizing that it's always already here. And that's how we gain confidence, not just in this moment, but confidence in that it always is already here as the basis of whatever it is we experience. When short moments are repeated many times, the recognition becomes automatic. It becomes stable in itself. Any act of forcing the recognition of open intelligence is unnecessary. Yeah, so we don't need to, and in fact, it's not even recommended initially to have a longer stretch, like say half an hour, where we sit down and try to have as many short moments as possible. That can then make the practice more contrived. And typically, at least in my experience, we then look for, oh, is it this? Is it that? Am I doing it right? And then we're again obsessed with the content. We're looking for a special experience of, oh, that's what open intelligence is like, instead of having these uncontrived, simple glimpses of recognition where we can just look and immediately, instinctively recognize, and then let the experience continue to flow however it will. Then, if the recognition of open intelligence slips away, we simply repeat it again. And there might be a considerable amount of time between the short moments initially. Like it might even be one short moment on a day. And then one day you forget entirely. And the next day it's five short moments where you remember. It doesn't matter how many and how often and where and when and how long. Just every short moment that we take is, you could say, is like a blessing. It's like a gift that we give to ourselves. Short moments repeated many times lead to confidence and open intelligence. Each moment of open intelligence subsumes our old way of thinking, feeling, sensing, and experiencing in a continuous expanse of clarity. It subsumes our old way of thinking. If you're not a native speaker like me, I had to wrap my head around what subsumes means. A simple way would be kind of like includes. It doesn't need to get rid of our old way of thinking, feeling, sensing, and experiencing. That's the point. It's our thinking, feeling, sensing, and experiencing continue to be whatever they will be. And open intelligence is recognized within that. It's not instead of that, it's within that, where we recognize that no matter what we're thinking, feeling, sensing, and experiencing, we're timelessly free and open within the experience. And that's what leads to that restfulness. Because we see, I don't need to change any of those thinking, feeling, sensing, and experiencing. if we emphasize the description of the data, it is empowered to take over all of our energy and attention. I'm sure you have your own examples of that, and for those of you on Empowerment One, that's a deep dive into exactly that, where we can see what we've put ourselves through in life by believing in the independent nature and power of data, of thoughts, emotions, sensations, and experiences, where a single thought, say, like you wake up in the morning and you feel, oh, something's wrong in my relationship to my partner. It's a thought that appears, right? And then that thought leads to the next. All right, I think yesterday they said something to me, and I think maybe they said that with a little bit of an attitude of that they're annoyed with me. And I really don't know why. Why are they again annoyed with me? What and you can like build your own story that you can see how it can quickly take our entire energy and attention. And it all started with that thought. Or maybe before the thought, even just an energy in our body. If we allow data to flow on by, if you allow this energy in the body or the thought that appears about there maybe being an issue in the relationship flow on by, a beneficial energy opens up vast and powerful. We don't spend our day in our thought loops. Instead, we enter each moment free and open, spacious and at ease. We can still see clearly, probably even more clearly, actually, if there is something that we need to address with our partner or with our boss or with whoever, including with ourselves. But we see it with a much more spacious mind, with a much more open heart. Okay, so I'll stop sharing my screen now and come back here. Good. Um, a little longer than 15 minutes. I didn't see the clock there. Welcome to everybody who joined while I was sharing my screen. If you came a little later, Kati is not with us today. She sends her love, and I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has. And welcome, John. Um, it was nice to read from you there about finding the videos. Beautiful. All right. Joining from Wisconsin. Okay, wonderful to meet you. Good. Hi, Paul. Did you have a question? Anything you'd
I
like to share?
do. Good morning,
Wonderful.
everyone. You were just talking about letting data flow on by. I had an experience a few days ago, and I'll share it. And then if you could respond to the whole matter of letting that data flow or how I handled it. I was laying in bed. My wife, I'll shorten this up, laying in bed. It was late. I was tired. I'm ready to go to sleep. My wife was in the other room spending time with a guest at our house, and I began to realize I was irritated and thinking, good grief, she should be aware that I'm tired and I'm ready to go to sleep, and she's delaying the whole process. And, where's the sensitivity to me and a whole bunch of data? And in that moment, it was like the open intelligence said, check out your attitude and your thought process, the data here. And I took a moment to examine it, recognize the selfishness, recognized every ugly aspect of my thinking, and let it go, let it flow on by, I guess, at that point. But it was a wonderful experience because it points up to the ability to notice the reified thinking that's perpetually my experience and transmute it, let open intelligence outshine it, to use that term. I like it. So, it, where does the flow on by, letting it flow on by, occur in that kind of a situation? Or did I let it flow by after looking at it?
Well, first, thank you for sharing. It's you know, I at least can relate. I can relate to the thought stream, to the situation, and probably most people who are in a relationship have our own vault of similar experiences. It's not just a single incident. Being in a relationship is fantastic for practicing. And yeah, it's a perfect example for letting things flow on by. I think there are different levels or stages almost of letting things flow on by. It's something that really deepens more and more. But what I would say immediately is that moment where you had the choice, right? Like, do I either engage, maybe go out there and burst out and say, like, what are you doing? Or even internally spend my time, wrapping myself more and more into the angry story. Or the other choice is to relax and let the data flow however it will. And that's what you chose. So that's a perfect example. Um, I, I just can't help but also say, you know, the other inner dialogue that you had about then, like the selfishness or the like the ugliness or so, I think you called it, of the thoughts and emotions that you've had. Even those thoughts and emotions, like what you call selfishness, is open intelligence. So, the next label that we stick on them is ugly. And then instead of saying, oh, bad wife, because she does these things, now we're saying bad me because I have these thoughts. So, in a moment of rest, also allow yourself a spaciousness of heart towards yourself, like you didn't do anything to create those thoughts. Right? Like you're not purposefully, intentionally waking up in the morning. How can I have the worst thoughts about my partner today? It's just these thoughts appear, and the more we let them flow on by, meaning we don't take action on them, we let them flow however it will, the more we recognize that our judgment of these thoughts and emotions are just more data. And we don't need to even describe ourselves or the data in these ways. They're just whatever they are. So you'll hear again and again in the teaching positive, negative, and neutral data flow on by. And at some point, we or negative or afflictive is labels we hear a lot, right? And at some point we ask, well, they aren't really afflictive. They aren't really negative. It's just something that we've labeled them as. So to become more and more at rest within that, I found one of the biggest beneficiaries of my practice was actually the relationship with myself. I've been so hard on I've been my worst critic, my worst enemy in relation to myself, like constantly worried about having the wrong kinds of thoughts, the wrong kinds of feelings, the wrong kinds of motivations. And, even applying this to the practice, like I'm not a good practitioner, I'm not resting, I'm not taking short moments enough. In fact, I don't even know what a short moment is. So I can't possibly do this right. And if I did it right, I wouldn't think these things about Kati. Like, Kati. How can anyone have a negative thought about Kati, right? So it's like I'm a hopeless case, basically. And so to see that all of this is just open intelligence presenting itself as that display right now. And then in the moment of recognizing it, I think, wow, that's amazing. I must be enlightened. And then take a short moment there and recognize, wow, that's another thought. Great thought to have. But if you hold to it and make it into something, it becomes the next prison we build for ourselves in that moment. There's a great line in the teachings, in the traditional teachings, that ropes and chains of gold are equally binding. So whether we tether ourselves to negative states through constantly ruminating, or we have golden chains around our positive states, it's equally binding. What we want is freedom in immediate perception, complete perceptual openness in all experience. Yeah, so beautiful. It's perfect. And, empowerment 6 and 7, that's exactly, we rely on open intelligence to let data flow on by, to let data be exactly as it is. And eventually, I mentioned this in the beginning, um, that there are like different recognitions, or levels of certainty, you can say. At some point, you'll also see that we always let data flow on by, whether we want to or not, because it's impossible to hold to data really. Like, you can't freeze this constant, ceaseless display. I think there are actually practitioners who master this, like where they can freeze the entire display. Um, but it's a lot of work. I've tried that very diligently for a little while before I met this teaching, and I wasn't very good at it. And it made me even more tense and even more worried about my thoughts. And so here we recognize that whatever we do, data keep flowing anyway. We can't hold them in place. We can't predict what future data arises. All we can do is relax as the whole display does its thing. That's what we can choose, is, do we engage, or do we rest? One short moment at a time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bob, hi.
Hey, um, I was thinking about something today that seemed interesting. Um, and since our true nature is awakened awareness, is it when you meet someone, whether or you're with someone, like with my wife or with my kids, people that we're accustomed to, people that we know for a long, long time, and then you see someone in a grocery store and or you're introduced to another individual. I was thinking about it, not to put such importance on what I'm going to say, each time, or you don't remember to, which is fine. Isn't everyone awakened awareness? Every human being on the planet, um, expressing, maybe they don't even know it, expressing open intelligence. So is it beneficial to, if remembered, to meet a new person and recognize that they are awakened awareness too? They might be screaming at a clerk or something. They might not be presenting themselves in the most pleasant way, or they might be. So is it beneficial, if it occurs to me, to recognize that that person is awakened awareness too? That
What
that's
what difference did it make to you? It sounds like you've been playing with that.
No, actually, it was
You
it was.
haven't? Okay.
Go ahead. Answer the question. Yeah,
No,
ask it.
I was just curious if you've tried it and noticed if it made a difference.
Well, especially when I was in practice, um, I would actually, and I wasn't doing any of this then. Um, it it made a difference to tell someone that they were. I used the word spirit at that time.
Mm,
That they were whole and complete because they would in some manner torture themselves that they weren't, that they're somehow flawed and all this other stuff. So I did it then. Now I would tell them to always remember that they were spirit. In fact, with my son just the other day, I I actually he was going through a lot, both physically and uh, literally, and he knew he was torturing himself with the thoughts he had about his body not being well and so forth. And I used the word essence too, that your essence isn't your symptom. Your essence isn't your symptom, not to forget about a symptom. So today, when I was listening to Candace, I was thinking about what I presented in terms of and just thinking about it. And then, of course, I did do open intel. I did think of resting and so forth,
mm,
but it wasn't in a way to not think about what I mentioned in the question of seeing people like that. And I think it's a benefit, I think, in my experience, to see people as that, especially maybe when they are troubled, or maybe just when they don't see themselves in that
mm,
way. That I don't say to them, well, my son was going through a lot of stuff and we're very, very close. And I knew he was looking for help. So I actually told him to just say the words open intelligent. And what does that mean? And he was questioning me. I said it's not important to know what it means. Just do it if you want to, and see if it is benefit to you. And actually was. He told
mm,
me the next day it was, which is beautiful because he hasn't studied any of his teaching. That's not his
mm.
thing. So anyway, to get back to the question, the
Yeah. So
yeah,
I think
about
when if I'm hearing this correctly, there are a couple things where it is, really helpful for you. And one is it sounds to me that in that moment where you recognize that the person you're with at their essence is open intelligence as well, that relaxes you. Like your care for your son in this case, it's still there, but then you also have the recognition and the assurance that ultimately all is well. It's almost like confirming to ourselves, which is very relaxing and supportive to us. But also, I find that often creates, you could say, a space or an atmosphere that allows the other person to be as they are. Like we as people, as humans, can feel if somebody is giving us space in their heart and mind to just be as we are, or if they are, I don't know, judging us or wanting us to be different or critical of us or, wanting us to do certain things and we typically don't want to be in that kind of circumstance, right? So, like, I find I rarely, practically never talk to anybody about the teaching who doesn't ask me directly about it. Um, and I'm not like walking around trying to like, put a new label on everybody instead of, Jane, John, and Rob, open intelligence, open intelligence, open intelligence. But it's more from recognizing and practicing short moments of open intelligence that underlying certainty that you mentioned in the beginning, everybody is open intelligence. It's it's not even a question because it's like the intelligence of the universe. Like if we just, zoom out a little bit and don't make it as just a human thing, which can happen sometimes with the term awareness, is like it feels like something that is genuinely, it's more human, but maybe the tree isn't awareness because trees maybe aren't aware, or rocks or whatever. But if you consider the intelligence, the open intelligence of the universe, it clearly pervades everything in the universe, right? Because it's the universe. So everything that appears within it clearly is inseparable from this intelligence. And so all people, places, and things are, by definition, pervaded by the open intelligence of not just this universe. If there are indeed parallel universes, they are pervaded by the same intelligence. It might have different laws and rules and all of that, but the basic fundamental core or essence of open intelligence is equally present no matter how things show up. And this is really, it's amazing to see, like, that's true equality among all humans, because it doesn't matter if you're young or old, a woman. I think it's women's, what is it? The Women's Day, International Women's Day today. So honoring all the women, if I'm indeed correct. I think I saw a post, but then the meeting started, so I didn't look more into it. Anyway, doesn't matter if you're man, woman, or or gender neutral, or however we identify, everything is pervaded by open intelligence. Whether we're uh, Christian, Muslim, other religion, or no religion. Same intelligence that pervades every single cell of our body. Every single atom in every cell is pervaded by open intelligence. And so naturally, everybody is open intelligence and nothing else. Now, you mentioned the term awake. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. If everybody is awakened awareness, in my experience, the recognition of open intelligence makes a big difference. That's why I keep practicing. So it's even though everything is already open intelligence, it does make a difference in our human life, whether we recognize it or not, that's what we are. So even though we know this, everybody is open intelligence, it doesn't mean, anything else than that, really. um, yeah. Um, yeah.
I just one thing in one of the video podcasts. I don't remember when it was. It wasn't a current one, but I wrote it down because Candace has said, she said, our true nature is awakened awareness. She said that. That was in my
Mhm.
own. That was one of my own words. So anyway, that I just wanted to clarify that.
Sure. I
Yeah.
know. That's why I said I don't know about that. I only know that for me, it definitely makes a difference. But it is powerful to see, regardless, this true nature, the essence of everybody. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Bob. Wendy, please. I see
Can you?
your. Yeah, we can hear you. Perfect.
Okay, good. Um, well, I've just started the first empowerment,
Hmm.
and it's amazing. I mean, I I've been practicing meditation, Dzogchen, for many years, and definitely I would feel, a tremendous difference in my day if if in a rare occasion I did not practice. But and the practice is beautiful, and but the it it's it would have us it would affect my day in a kind of like a glow, like an afterglow that would extend. But then what I'm becoming aware of now with short moments is that as much as as much as intellectually, and I feel in my bones that everything is this energy, this open intelligence, God, whatever you want to call it, love, as much as I believe that, my own practice when combing through it with what the first empowerment asks you to look at is that I would definitely see it sort of like, well, there's me and connecting with source, and then as long as I can hold that into the momentum of getting involved in the data of my day, and inevitably there by a certain point I'm in this fifth gear of driving through my day and all of the data and seeing it as something other than open intelligence, as seeing it as the thing that pulls me away from open intelligence, as the thing that distracts me from it, as the thing that is the problem to be solved. And then just trying. So the practice of short moments, like it puts like a stick in the, in the bicycle wheel of my momentum, like, and I realize, wow, I am wrestling this like it's a great dragon that I have to wrestle and tame, or I have to control, or I have to manipulate, or I have to, and I'm exhausted by it. I see in that moment I'm how exhausting it is. And so these short moments, I mean, I can forget for hours and then come out like I feel like exhausted. It is no surprise to me that people say when they get older, oh, I'm just so tired. I'm tired of this. And I get it. I am exhausted by this arm wrestling I do, this freaking mud wrestling I do all day long with the data of my life and my world and people. Um, I can see it much more clearly if I'm in nature because it's consistent and it has a certain energy that tunes me. Um, but people, I am recognizing just how immediately it's so, it's not I'm not pleased at all with it, but how immediately I've made 50,000 judgments. And there could be some good, some bad, but they're like this assessment. And to use Candace's terms, I've stuck onto them a million dictionary terms about who they are and where they're from and what they're like and part of that I know is just the human part of trying to assess what something is. Is this safe? Can we proceed? So there's some of that discernment, but it's just not being present and not recognizing them as open intelligence. And so I see with this first empowerment how 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 it's my driving gear to be engaged with data. And so I've listened to it now probably 4 times. I really like listening to it but it's mind-boggling to me that w- it's it's everything I want to do, and yet I am being made aware of how far away I am from what I thought I was actually, what how I thought I was. I thought I was much more aware during my days that I
Mm,
am. I thought I was much more conscious, but I am not. And I also see that I have real attachment to certain data and my opinion about it. And it's it's a real eye opener. Let's just say that. There was one phrase that I wanted to ask you about because I'm not quite sure I understand the meaning of it. And it said,
hmm
one of the symptoms of a life based on data, is the uncontrollable desire to keep data in place. I don't understand this phrase, to keep data in place.
mm.
Just means hold on to it.
Yeah, to basically manage it and to control you keep it under control. Keep
Ah, yeah.
keep it in its place or keep it in place. Yeah. Um, Basically what you mentioned before. Thank you so much for sharing. I mean, you're describing exactly what Empowerment One is about. That recognition that, wow, this is how I'm spending my days. But then instead of adding on top of that, what a bad practitioner I am, is maybe just like how worthy of compassion am I and everybody else for
Mm,
putting ourselves through this? Like
mm,
as you said, it's exhausting, so exhausting.
mm,
And like even if you were really good at managing data, it's still exhausting. Like there is no way to win this game of managing data. The best we
mm,
can get is to become really effective managers of life. But that's very different than really living life, with that openness and spaciousness and ease. So, yeah, perfect for Empowerment One to really recognize this and also to see that, you've from all that you shared, you've done everything in an attempt to really be like, for lack of better words, like to be a good practitioner and a good human being. So
mhm,
there wasn't any like ill intent. And then when you reflect on that, you can see it's just what we all have learned, right? Like if if you want to be a good, you know, um, husband, son, friend, employee, employer, whatever, human, here is the list of 10,000 things you need to be watching out for.
mm.
And if you don't do them perfectly, you fail. And don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody ever what's going on in your mind.
Mm,
And so, we feel shame, we blame ourselves, we feel guilty for something we don't even create or have any real control over. Like, those 50,000 judgments you mentioned, you're not sitting around producing them like deliberately and wanting them to arise, but still we feel, oh my, like bad person. I'm so judgmental. So with the short moments, it's more of a recognition that in whatever appears, open intelligence is present. Judgment, open intelligence. Good thought about somebody, open intelligence. Bad thought about somebody, open intelligence. Being confused, whether it's a good or a bad thought, open intelligence. It's it's always already here. And the more we relax as that, we fulfill the ultimate intent of our management activities. Because, we did the management of our thoughts, of our data, in an attempt to be, fill in the words, kind, beneficial, smart, or whatever we really aspire to be, human being. And we find the ultimate fulfillment of that job description isn't in managing, it's in allowing these qualities to rise from within. They're indwelling qualities. It's just that we believed we need to somehow make them come about. And that's why it got so confusing.
Can you
So,
say that bit just again? The confusion that, can you just say that last part again? That was
oh, I
really
don't have
good.
a rewind button. I have
Oh,
no
yeah.
idea what I just said.
It is something like that we realize that instead of that in,
Instead of needing to manage and control
mm-hmm,
the actual intent of what we were using all the management for
mm-hmm.
is unleashed by tapping into the essence of all of these beneficial or nice qualities, if you will, that is already here.
By
Yeah,
resting.
exactly. Like in each short moment, if you instead of getting distracted by the images, by the reflections in the crystal ball, if we rest as the crystal ball, then the innate qualities of the crystal ball, like the clarity, the lucidity, the indestructibility of it, become a direct experience in that
Mm.
moment,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
right? Like if there is a massive storm going on in the reflections, a short moment isn't there to then suddenly have the storm go away. So if you're at 10,000 RPM, your engine, I don't know if that's like Formula One
Mm-hmm.
RPM. I think they go into 10,000 RPM sometimes. It's not so much that our entire energy will suddenly shift into a tranquil little stream. It might, but it's more to recognize that even in that 10,000 RPM mode, open intelligence is naturally present.
Mm.
Like you're not out of open intelligence because of that
Mm.
10,000 RPM state, or what did you say, fifth gear? I'll stick with your terms. Whether you're in neutral or in fifth gear, open intelligence is equally present. That's where the relief comes, is you
Mm-hmm.
don't need to do anything. You don't need to change your ways of being.
Mm.
Not for the practice. You can still decide to live a more peaceful, restful life if that's what you really want, and find ways of doing that. But whether you do that or you train to become an ultra marathon runner, open intelligence is naturally present either way.
It's extraordinary that, thank you. That's really helpful. And I think the tiny little awareness that dawned or has dawned several times in practicing short moments is that my mind says, well, we must wrestle this dragon, otherwise
Mhm.
the fire will consume us and burn the whole village down of my life. And so there's this belief that something necessary will happen by engaging and trying to wrestle it. Not that it's ever worked, but that's the drive. But and so my mind goes, well, I I just don't trust clearly that open intelligence will handle this. I need to learn to trust, and that's impossible from a fearful state. But the little opening, the little crack in the door and the light pours in happens when I just think, well, in just resting, relaxing, as you say, in this moment, there is some awareness that perhaps I don't, that perhaps I will learn to trust by relaxing which seems counterintuitive to
Mm.
my brain. But I'm getting peaks, little peaks of it.
Hmm. That's perfect. That's exactly what the short moments are here for. Yeah, that's exactly like we use the terms trust, confidence, assurance a lot. And that's what grows with each short moment is like a building block of more and more trust, more and more confidence to the point of like complete certainty where it
Mm,
doesn't really even matter anymore if we think that we're practicing or not practicing. Like every thought is instantaneously, you could say, liberated
mm.
as open intelligence. Yeah. And good question to ask, I found, especially for times that were like difficult where I really had to, like, because life continues to present challenges, right? And some challenges need our actions. Like it's not that open intelligence somehow magically does things, even though it also does sometimes do things magically for us, but it also does things magically through us. So, it's not whether we rest or take action. It's just that like the typical belief is if I take a lot of action, when I'm really done, my life will be in order such
Yes.
that I can finally relax.
Yes.
Now we flip this around and say, I can relax right now and then take action from that place of rest. So
Mm.
you don't have to choose whether you trust open intelligence or you take your life into your own hands. You take your life into your own hands as open intelligence. Open intelligence is filling every cell of your body. It can guide the qualities and activities more and more fully the more we're aligned in its essence. That's really like where, and the empowerments will support that a lot. Like it's not just about recognizing and closing the door and never leaving the house again because now we rest. It's about then using this recognition to be of benefit to ourselves and others in whatever way that is. And it isn't always straightforward, and it isn't a magic bullet, like it doesn't replace, like I sometimes. Oh, it's 1 past 10. Sorry, I don't have a timekeeper with me, so let me wrap up. But I just want to say, it doesn't replace necessarily, like I don't know, if people want to build a business, it doesn't necessarily make you the best entrepreneur in the world just because you rely on open intelligence. You're probably still served well to learn the basics of how to build and run a business. But you can do that much more easily when the mind is at rest. So again, it's not an either or. It's the order that reverses. We're not doing stuff in order to then finally be able to rest. We rest in order to then take, or not even in order, but we rest and allow that to inform the actions we take.
Mm. Thank you. That's
You're
beautiful.
welcome. Yeah, I look forward to hearing more as you go through the empowerments. Beautiful. Well, thank you all so much for being here today. Great to see you, to be together.